Marshall has won 20 of their last 21. Hokies in the home white, Marshall in green and black. Now the NCAA rules prohibit Virginia Tech from playing Enter Sandman, which is tradition, but that doesn't stop the Castle Guard from belting it out as we get started here. Loud and proud. And they're going to need this home fan base. That can be worth 8 to 10 points, head coach Kenny Brooks told us. And they're going to need those without Kitley.
And they're going to need Georgia Amor and their guards to handle this pressure from Marshall. Marshall wants to press on makes and misses.
Both of these teams not shy to let it fly. We are expecting three-pointers early and often. Marshall attempts the most threes in all of Division I basketball. They go inside this time with Hayes. That goes off the mark.
Good job by Eck to handle the trap there, Jay. If I'm Marshall, I want anybody else but Georgia Amor bringing the ball up the floor. The goal is to get the ball out of Georgia Amor's hands as much as possible.
This is a Thundering Herd team that sends pressure on makes or misses. Getting it inside. Strack to the rack to open the scoring.
Clara Strack, just a young freshman. Some of her teammates affectionately call her Baby Kitley. She has Kitley's size. She has a lot of the same skill set, just has to develop with more experience.
Offensive foul going the other way.
And here's Clara Strack looking a little Baby Kitley-esque, a beautiful high-low, and that's what Virginia Tech's going to have to do. The tallest player for Marshall is Mahogany Matthews at 6'1". So Virginia Tech has a massive size advantage. Marshall knows that. That's why they want to run and speed this thing up. But if Virginia Tech can get this in more of a half-court game and get the ball inside to Strack, they're going to be fine.
And for the freshman Strack, this is her first career start. You sit behind an All-American all season. And now Kenny Brooks turns to the freshman in the first round of the NCAA tournament. What a moment this is for her. Amor splits the double team. Georgia Amor scoop to the hoop. It rolls around but doesn't drop.
Conventional wisdom says the best way to beat a press is with the pass. But in this game, the best way to beat a press is with Georgia Amor, just snaking through the defense and making it look effortless.
And Marshall makes their first line change of the afternoon, and they will swap out 5 for 5. They play as many as 12 different players. Kim Caldwell, with that up-tempo style, you need fresh bodies every couple of minutes.
Exactly. It's very rare. Brianna Campbell, for example, who averages 15 points per game, she comes off the bench because she's the leader of the second group. And truly, all 10, all 11 players are going to play very significant minutes for Marshall today.
Down low, Strack, Clara Strack. She's got all 4 to start this one.
Marshall does not have a body that can guard Clara Strack, and Virginia Tech obviously knows that and is going to her early and often.
Out to Amor. Georgia Amor.
Georgia Amor with the emotion after that layup. Did a good job pushing the pace. Virginia Tech still has to pick their moments where they want to run and get out in transition.
Marshall has missed their first 3 shots. That one goes begging as well from Campbell. And once again, 5 new bodies coming in for Marshall. Almost every time there's a dead ball, someone's coming on the court for the Thundering Herd.
I asked Coach Caldwell about it. I said, this is a lot of work for you as a coach to keep track of subbing and constantly subbing in and out. And she said it is, but it's what our system entails. We need players to be fresh, to go as hard as we need them to go.
The Hokies so far, 3 minutes in, it's still early, have had no problem breaking this press and defeating this Marshall pressure.
No turnovers for Virginia Tech so far. And remember, Marshall forced 39 turnovers in their championship game against James Madison.
Strack has been the go-to player today, that time dispossessed. First turnover caused by Marshall today. Long three, off the mark, no good, and it falls to Kayla King. Amor slicing and dicing, pull up, pop, got it!
The problem with this press is that you don't often see a player with the ability of Georgia Amor, where she can break the press by herself, which is what we've seen so far.
And Marshall misfiring. 0 for 6 now. Strack left alone. It's too easy for the Hokies. Timeout, Marshall.
This run and jump system has worked so well for Marshall so far, but this run and jump system was not built to contain Georgia Amor, Jay. It just wasn't. Georgia Amor can break this press by herself. She's handled the ball beautifully. She's snaked through the traps. She's found her teammates. She's also been able to score it.
Every coach wants a good start, certainly in the NCAA tournament, but for Virginia Tech, you felt like a big, good start like this one, galvanizing this incredible fan base was important, especially in Kitley's absence.
It feels like with that start, Virginia Tech has breathed a big sigh of relief, and these fans have done so as well. And for Marshall, for them to get back in this game, they're going to have to start making some threes. That is what they do. They lead the country in three-point attempts per game. And in order to hang with the Hokies, they're going to have to knock down shots from beyond the arc.
And Marshall has really struggled. This is one of the best offensive teams statistically in the country, but they have started 0 for 8. Let's take a look at who's on the floor for Virginia Tech, brought to you by Capital One.
Carly Wenzel in for Virginia Tech, and Rose Mishaw, who didn't play much in the month of February, but is getting more minutes now, the Minnesota transfer with Liz Kitley out.
And of course, there's Georgia Amor, number 5 in the home white, fellow All-American, and a lot is on her shoulders, not just today, but as long as Virginia Tech keeps winning, Georgia Amor will be the focal point.
And that's already 4 team fouls on Marshall. Marshall doesn't really get in foul trouble that often because they play so many players, but the team fouls can be an issue. So the next foul Marshall commits, Virginia Tech will be shooting free throws.
Good defense by Marshall. The Thundering Herd have dug themselves a hole in the first 5 minutes, trailing by 10. And don't get used to these 5 on the floor for Marshall because they play 12. A unique brand of basketball, and they're still adjusting here in the NCAA tournament. Their first trip since 1997, trailing by 10.
Yeah, these are D1 ranks, guys. These are not Sun Belt ranks. They are top 5 in the country in every one of these categories. Three-point attempts is a big one. Possessions per 40 minutes is huge. I think it's safe to say, Jay, that Marshall is the most unique team in this NCAA tournament. But the one thing they don't have is size, and it really feels like Virginia Tech's size advantage is showing out so far in this game.
Amor a 3, too strong. Marshall obviously still trying to find their footing here in the NCAA tournament, here for just the second time in school history. They have started this game shooting 0 of 10. This is their first 10 shots.
And you have to think, Jay, maybe some nerves for Marshall playing here in Castle Coliseum. Tons of maroon. Virginia Tech has experience in the NCAA tournament. Marshall does not.
Mishaw making it look easy. And it's 12-0 Hokies.
All 12 of Virginia Tech's points have come in the painted area.
Well, you mentioned that size advantage. Even without Kitley, Hokies have a couple of inches at every single position in this game.
And you made a good point. We were talking at the break. Marshall attempts so many threes. They shoot 34%, but in that championship game against JMU, they were 8 for 46. So they do take a lot, but sometimes they don't make a lot.
You think a team that scored 95 points in their championship game, you think this is an offensive juggernaut, but they came in on a cold shooting performance, overcame that by forcing a ton of turnovers. And credit to Kim Caldwell, this is just year one of her tenure at Marshall. And when you think about where they were in November, 2-4, growing pains, it took a little while to buy into this unique brand of basketball. And they come in winning 20 of their last 21, 10 in a row, and they have just been hit by a buzzsaw here by the Hokies.
They thrive on forcing turnovers, and Virginia Tech has taken such good care of the basketball so far in this first quarter. They only have 1 turnover, and so when Marshall can't score off of your turnovers, sometimes they struggle to score in the half court.
Well, they've missed their first 11 shots to start this game, trying to get something going. That was nearly a travel. Hayes rejected.
That was a travel, Jay.
Campbell. Shot clock down to 7. Brianna Campbell into traffic. Count it. Plus the foul. Finally, the lid off the rim for Marshall.
What a strong take for Brianna Campbell. 5'5", attacking the 6-foot Kayla King. Finishing with contact. Marshall just needed to get on the board, Jay, and Brianna Campbell does it for him.
Clara Strack back into the game for the Hokies, the freshman who's going to take a lot of those Liz Kitley minutes, with the 3-time All-American out for the rest of her college career with a torn ACL.
And for the first time in the entire first quarter, Marshall can really set their press off of a make.
Now they'll press you, make or miss, but it's certainly easier to press after a make. Wenzel draws the foul. And there's Hokies head coach Kenny Brooks. Made the Final Four for the first time in program history a year ago. It would be a Herculean task to make it back there without Kitley, but it all is one win at a time.
They call it madness for a reason, Jay. And Clara Strack, as I said earlier, close your eyes, maybe squint a little bit, and you say, is that Liz Kitley out there? Because Clara Strack has looked great so far.
Well, for the 4th straight year, every single NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, you can go to ncaa.com. Your home for all 90 NCAA championship. How great are the next 2 days?
It's the best time of the year, without a doubt, and we've already seen a few upsets. Middle Tennessee taking down Louisville in an 11-6 upset. The 11-6 is basically the 12-5 in the men's game. We love the 12-5 upset. You'll see quite a few 11 seeds at least have a chance or get those upsets over the 6 throughout the tournament.
Well, this 13 seed Marshall has struggled in the opening quarter. They've taken 7 threes, missed them all. Down the lane, Hayes too strong.
Good defense by Matilda Eck, contesting the entire way and just applying basically 6 more inches of size, not fouling, but contesting, making it tough for the smaller player to score.
Great pass, Eck in the corner, got it! Finally for Matilda Eck, she's over 1,000 career points. She's been sitting on 999 since February 29th. 3 scoreless games, that'll feel good.
The crowd felt it for Matilda Eck when she knocked down that 3. The crowd was louder on that make than maybe any other make today, because Matilda Eck is one of the best shooters in the ACC, but has just struggled. She's been in a slump, hasn't scored in the last 3 games, been a big issue for Virginia Tech. But it was just a matter of time. She's a 40% 3-point shooter, and she's able to knock that down. I know that feels good, Jay. Massive sigh of relief for Matilda Eck.
Well, you could not have scripted a better first quarter for Virginia Tech. 8 minutes gone by and an 18-3 lead. We're going to call Wenzel for a push-off there.
Offensive foul against the Hokies.
That's her second.
That is her first personal foul.
Wenzel playing some backup point guard for Virginia Tech, can handle the ball when Amor needs a breather, which isn't often, or if Amor gets in foul trouble. But you just need multiple ball handlers against Marshall because of how much pressure they apply.
Good look. Those are the ones you need to make if you're going to pull the upset, and Mahogany Matthews knocks it down. Stays Hokies basketball.
Great job by Abby Beeman to attack and kick. That's what Marshall wants to do. They want to attack and either get layups or kick for threes.
Amor, the floater. Count it, plus the foul. Georgia, Amor, no, wave off the basket, going the other way. The Castle guard had me believing that was an and one. Instead, good defense by Marshall.
Yeah, the student section got you there, Jay. They call an offensive foul here, and I like the call. I believe that was Brianna Campbell. What you have to do is you have to obtain that legal guarding position before Georgia Amor takes off. Well, at that, ooh.
Yeah, I thought she kind of scooted in
at that
after
angle,
Amor was
yes.
airborne.
At that angle, it didn't look like it. Of course, they can't review that right now, but it's just not under 2 minutes. But yeah, you're right, Jay. At that angle, you have to obtain that position before the offensive player leaves the ground, and Georgia Amor left the ground pretty early.
Aislinn Hayes missed it and dug out by Strack. Beeman never gave up on the play, and she's fouled. Abby Beeman to the line for two. She's the Sun Belt Player of the Year. Just like her head coach, Kim Caldwell, she jumped up a level from Division II to Division I, and she has shown that she belongs.
It's really unbelievable that Marshall's two leading scorers were playing Division II basketball last year in Abby Beeman and Brianna Campbell. And when you look at those two players, the main reason that they were playing D2 is because of their size. They're both really small, both under 5'5", but you watch them play and you can tell they are both very skilled.
Well, Beeman was asked about the lack of size as Marshall keeps it alive. A deep three, banks in! Meredith Mayer.
Colin Bank from the top of the key. You don't see that often, but Marshall needed a three ball badly. They got one there, and then they force a turnover, exactly what they want.
No, they're going to say Marshall got a piece of it. It'll stay Hokies ball. Kim Caldwell can't believe it. I'm with you. I think that just sailed out of bounds. I don't think anybody got a touch on it. Marshall fans that have made the 3-hour drive from Huntington, West Virginia, are livid. Clara Strack called for a travel. Gives the ball back to Marshall.
Marshall hanging around, 7-0 run for the Thundering Herd, finally forcing some turnovers, which is what they love to do.
And after the travel call, the clock continued to run, so just need to put a couple more ticks on the first quarter clock here. Well, Marshall with an opportunity to make this just a two-possession game at the end of the first quarter. Who could have believed that when they fell down by 15?
And I like Marshall holding it for the last shot here. They could have thought to go 2 for 1, but why give the Hokies a chance to grab some momentum offensively?
Campbell in trouble, and she walks.
That's an adjustment that Marshall is going to have to make. Against anybody else throughout this season, they're able to attack the paint and kick. But right now, when they attack the paint, if they don't make a quick decision like Campbell did there, she picked up her dribble, the size is just going to envelop her, and it's going to be a lot harder to make that pass. So they have to make quicker decisions when they get in the paint.
Virginia Tech has held Marshall to just 3 of 18 from the floor. They've caused 4 turnovers. The Hokies have 9 seconds here to try and add to their 8-point edge.
No Amor on the floor.
Trying to do too much there. Baker couldn't haul it in. And now Marshall has 4 seconds to make something happen.
Checking in for the Hokies, number 20, Olivia Salio.
Inbound to Brianna Campbell.
Like
down
that
the
play.
court in a hurry. Scoop to the hoop to end the first quarter. And Marshall, after trailing by 15, have cut this to just a 2-possession lead for Virginia Tech.
And how about the execution there from Marshall? Beautiful pass to Campbell with the finish. But it was all Clara Strack early in this first quarter. Marshall's come back. We've got a game here in Castle Coliseum.
Let's take a look at our Need to Know, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. And with Liz Kitley, all she can do is watch the 3-time ACC Player of the Year, 3-time All-American. You take a look at the first 29 games with her versus the last 2 games without her.
It's been a massive difference. Those 2 games came in the ACC tournament where Virginia Tech went 1-1. They did beat Miami without her, but then lost to Notre Dame. And it's been a struggle for Virginia Tech without Liz Kitley, but showed some good offensive signs and progress in the first quarter.
Well, they jumped out to an 18-3 lead. Now Marshall has gone on a 9-0 run here at the end of the first quarter. Clara Strack, in her first career start, continues to be red hot. She's up to 8 points.
You have to think if Marshall might consider starting to double Clara Strack, because when she gets the ball inside, it's a bucket.
And Virginia Tech has been very dialed in defensively as well. Marshall just shooting 4 of 20 from the floor. And it helps when you have a couple of extra inches at every position, but they have been very focused to the defensive assignments to start this contest. Strack that time fouled. She has made a real impact on this game. Kenny Brooks said we've been trying to instill confidence in her while she's started this NCAA tournament with a lot of it.
They have run that set and that play so many times for Liz Kitley over the last 5 years, and it's just crazy to watch Clara Strack run that play and have it look so much like Kitley. She really is being raised up in that Kitley mold. Now, of course, she's not there yet, but it also makes you wonder, Jay, if Liz Kitley was playing in this game with the size advantage,
she'd have 40.
We could be talking 40 or 50. And I think if Liz was out there, Marshall would probably be doubling her. So do they start to look to double Strack?
Nothing but air there. Virginia Tech suffocating defensively. Wenzel tangled up, and that's a jump ball. Possession arrow stays with the Hokies.
And the Hokies still playing without Georgia Amor. She did pick up that second foul with the charge call that we kind of thought wasn't really a charge call because the defender wasn't there before Amor left the floor. So she's not out there right now. We were saying this before the game, Jay, that this would be Virginia Tech's worst nightmare, but they have handled the pressure well. And Wenzel and Kayla King and Eck have been able to handle that pressure. But you know Georgia Amor is just itching to get back in the game.
Well, ever since Liz Kitley went down, all Georgia Amor wanted to do is everything for this Virginia Tech team. She felt like she needed to do more, and head coach Kenny Brooks told her, you just continue to be you. Do what has gotten us here and trust your teammates.
She's got no choice right now. She's sitting on the bench.
All she can do is watch. Mayer. That's off the mark. Offensive rebound by the 5'4" Abby Beeman. Smallest player on the court, and yet keeps the possession alive. Swatted away, Kayla King. And King fouled on her way to the hoop.
And that's Kayla King using her length, the best on-ball defender on this team. Kayla King generally gets the assignment of guarding the other team's best player, but very long. People forget Kayla King is a solid 6 foot. And having her on these smaller guards for Marshall and in the passing lanes is going to be very effective for the Hokies.
King knocks them both down. And Virginia Tech's going to go on a run this March. Kayla King, for me, is an X factor. 8 games without double-figure scoring. They need her to be at her best, especially without Kitley.
And when Virginia Tech has played its best this year, Kayla King has played well. Probably the best game Virginia Tech played all year was at NC State. They dominated NC State. They played tremendously well. That was the last time Kayla King was in double figures. And now, to your point, Jay, with Liz out, Kayla King has got to be aggressive, look for home shot, provide some offense.
Mayer letting it fly. She's connected twice. The West Virginia native representing Marshall well on a big stage.
She had 20 points in the championship win over JMU. She can really fill it up and get hot.
Coming into this game off a career high. Beeman called for a foul, trying to swipe it away from Wenzel.
Meredith Mayer ready to knock it down, ready to shoot the second she caught that basketball. She banked in her first one, Jay. That time she didn't need the back room. That was pure.
Mayer 2 of 3 from 3. Her teammates just 1 of 9. The shooting struggles showed up early here in Blacksburg for Marshall, but they've settled into this game, trailing by 8. Still struggling with the Hokies' size. Good feed, King. Got it! Kayla King buries it.
And what a pass by Rose Mishaw. I don't know how she caught that ball. She was falling out of bounds and found Kayla King for 3.
Another offensive rebound, second chance. Hayes, too strong again. Marshall really battling on this possession. They got nothing to show for it, though.
Shows you the heart of Marshall. Believe it or not, they have 7 offensive rebounds and Virginia Tech has none. And Virginia Tech has such a size advantage.
Well, Kim Caldwell, the head coach of the Thundering Herd, told us yesterday their motto is heart over height.
Well, that is playing out so far. They've kept Virginia Tech off the O boards. Not a single O board for the Hokies so far. And Marshall with 7, but they've got to capitalize. 6 second chance points. They've got to get those offensive boards and kick out for open threes.
King has the last 5 points for the Hokies. Passes off. Mishaw couldn't handle it.
That's got to be a better pass. Mishaw had decent enough position, but you got to lob it up for her more. That was kind of a rocket inside.
Ariana Redmond too strong. And a foul called against Marshall.
And the big question, Jay, is when does Kenny Brooks put Georgia Amore back in the game? You definitely wait till this next media timeout. But since you are in command, do you just wait till the second half period? Because if she picks up a 3rd foul, then you've got some issues in the second half. You need her on the floor if this game gets close in the second half. So we'll see what he can. I would imagine he's going to keep her on the bench, perhaps for the rest of this quarter.
Kenny Brooks, the first Virginia Tech coach to take a team to the NCAA tournament 4 straight years. This is the best time of the year. March Madness is here. The men's NCAA tournament continues today. CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. For more information, go to ncaa.com.
Kayla King with 7 quick points in this quarter. We talked about her needing to step up. I think she was listening, Jay.
Especially with Amore on the bench. King has been the catalyst for Virginia Tech.
She's a fifth-year senior. She understands that she is needed now more than ever. Liz Kitley is her childhood best friend. They went to high school together, played AAU together. I know it's been tough to see her teammates struggling with this injury, but she also understands it's time for her to step up.
Misha muscling it home.
Let me tell you what I love about Rose Misha. Rose Misha did not play in a game from January 28th to March 8th, but she stayed locked in. She stayed ready. She didn't give up, didn't get an attitude, stayed ready for her moment, and is now playing really well for the Hokies.
Midway through this second quarter, Virginia Tech, comfortable lead by 13. Marshall turns it over there. The Thundering Herd uses that full court pressure. But right now, Virginia Tech in the driver's seat, the 4-seeded Hokies here at Castle Coliseum. Leading the way, Rose Misha, and it's a 13-point Virginia Tech lead. Here in Blacksburg, no Liz Kitley. Virginia Tech playing without their 3-time ACC Player of the Year, and the Hokies have looked strong. But the one thing Marshall really has going for them is their unique brand of basketball, which is all pressure all the time. There's up-tempo, there's full-court press, and then there's Kim Caldwell's style of play.
Pressing off of makes and misses is virtually unheard of. A lot of teams press off of makes. We see teams like Ohio State, who applies a lot of pressure throughout the game. But pressing off of makes and misses, it's just kind of crazy, but it's one of those things that's crazy enough that it might just work, and it has worked really well for Marshall this season.
They were down 15, and now they've cut it to single digits. Just a 9-point lead for Virginia Tech. And Georgia Amor still sitting on the bench for the Hokies. She's been out the entire second quarter with 2 fouls. Baker a 3, no good.
I think that ball was tipped by Mahogany Matthews. Good job by her to close out on a shooter.
Virginia Tech trying to dial it in defensively. They started this game so strong, but Marshall is growing into it. Good look from 3, no good. Battle and another offensive rebound. That is 8 offensive rebounds in this first half for the Thundering Herd. Good defense by Baker, ripped it away.
That really is incredible when you look at the lack of size that Marshall has with 8 boards. But speaking of the lack of size, Virginia Tech has to get the ball to Clara Strack. She has scored basically every time she's touched it. She's 5 for 5 from the floor.
Nice knockdown jumper, Mahogany Matthews. Still no Georgia Amor. 3 minutes remaining in this first half. We might not see her until the second half.
I wouldn't put her back in. There's no point in risking that 3rd foul. And you have a lead. It might not be comfortable, Jay, but you do have a sizable lead right now. But I know, knowing Georgia, it's killing her to just sit over. It kills any hooper to have to sit there with 2 fouls.
There from the corner. Too much on it. Baker left open again. She's missed 3 in a row, and all of them have been good looks.
Got to keep shooting. If you're Karis Baker, she shoots 41% from 3 for a reason.
How did that go in? Brianna Campbell, the body control just to get that shot off, and then it drops in. 7-point game with 2 minutes to go in this first half. The Hokies led by as many as 15. Foul off the ball. Karis Baker down on the court.
And it's Campbell somehow. Look at the way she double pumps and hangs in the air to avoid the much taller Kayla King. Quite the finish from Campbell. second leading scorer on the season for the Herd.
Campbell followed Coach Caldwell from Glenville State, and she has proven that they both belong at the Division I level. And what a journey it's been for Marshall first-year head coach Kim Caldwell. Her basketball journey began playing for her father, Scott Stevens, her high school coach. In 2017, Caldwell was named head coach of the Division II school, Glenville State. She asked her dad to be the assistant, and he was on her staff until he died in 2022. That same year, Glenville State wins the Division II national championship. They sprinkle his ashes on the court. She told us that every single day she uses a play that Scott, her dad, and her grew up together.
What an amazing story, and that relationship with her dad, who was a big mentor for her in the basketball space. Just so cool. And it's pretty amazing the success that Kim Caldwell's had. This is her first year at Marshall, and she's been able to turn them around like this.
Her late father, Scott Stevens, her basketball mentor, and Scott's mother, Kim's grandmother, Maddie Stevens, 97 years old, watching proudly from Parkersburg, West Virginia, as her granddaughter dances on the big stage for the first time.
I love that. I hope that Betty hears us and is enjoying her shout out today.
Great defense, Baker.
What a block by Strack. Another thing that Kitley does so well, and Clara Strack looking great in her first NCAA tournament game.
Big shoes to fill, and you make your first career start in the first round of the NCAA tournament. She's been excellent. Eck a three, nothing but the bottom of the net. Matilda Eck.
It's safe to say that Matilda Eck is out of her slump. 2 big threes for her in this first half.
Sydney Scott trying to answer. That goes begging. How about this entire second quarter? Virginia Tech has played without Georgia Amor and Liz Kitley. When's the last time they did that for a full 10 minutes?
It has been a long time. Maybe it's never happened.
Another big three. The freshman Strack stepping out.
Clara Strack knocking down the 3 ball. Okay, young freshman, we see you.
Liz Kitley loves it. And so do the fans here inside Castle Coliseum.
Such a cool moment. Clara Strack has been working with and learning under Liz Kitley, one of the best players to ever do it in the ACC, so quite a mentor to have. And Kenny Brooks told me early in the season, he said, Clara Strack would be playing more, but she's behind an All-American. And then you saw Kenny Brooks start to implement Strack more into the lineup in January and February, playing Strack and Kitley together. But he has been so high on Clara Strack from the second she stepped on campus, and that belief is paying off today.
Now this is a first half where a statement has been set by the 4th seed Virginia Tech. Marshall just 3 of 19 shooting. The Hokies on top, 42-25. Let's get you into the studio with Al Duncan. And now for our game track, brought to you by Invesco QQQ.
You look at the rebounding numbers, Marshall has held their own. They have 8 offensive rebounds, but it's been points in the paint, it's been Clara Strack, and Marshall just simply has not shot the ball well. 27% from the floor and just 3 for 19 from 3.
Well, Marshall is going to continue to do what they do, and that is pressure and chuck the 3. It just didn't fall in that first half. 3 of 19 from deep. Abby Beeman off the mark to start the second half.
And Georgia Amor back on the floor for Virginia Tech, sat out that entire second quarter with early foul trouble.
What does it say about the Hokies' depth that no Kitley, no Amor for the second quarter, and they look comfortable as Eck knocks down another three. The shooting slump is over for the junior from Sweden.
Yeah, it's over. Forget that slump. It's gone. Matilda Eck, 3 big threes today, and for Virginia Tech to advance to the Sweet 16 and to win this game, to advance to Sweet 16 and beyond, Matilda Eck has to be making shots.
Basket is good for number 10, Aislinn Hayes. She was fouling the shot on the 10-point free throw.
Aislinn Hayes with a chance to answer with an and one opportunity here.
First team foul.
And Kayla King subs out of the game with her 3rd foul. King, Eck, and Strack have been so good in this first round matchup. And now with Georgia Amor on the court, the press break becomes even more comfortable. Eck drills it again. 4 threes.
Matilda Eck is a great shooter, and for great shooters, it's just a matter of time. No slump lasts forever, and Matilda Eck just had to keep shooting the ball. That's what Kenny Brooks told us before the game, and she's 4 for 5 from beyond the arc today.
Came into the tournament with 3 scoreless games in a row. Now she's on fire. And the Hokies, with the wind at their back, starting to roll at the beginning of this 3rd quarter. Working on X, spins her way in, no good.
Campbell giving up 7 inches to Matilda Eck. It's just a tough shot when you have to attack the rim and have that much of a size disadvantage.
That one didn't fall for Eck. Offensive rebound. Amor a 3. It's good! Timeout, Marshall.
And this is what Georgia Amor does. It is so difficult to sit on the bench and not be able to play and still come out there and knock down a 3 ball like it's nothing. The Hokies are rolling. Vanderbilt already has played in this building, played really well, beat Columbia, a good Columbia team out of the Ivy League in the first 4. And then Baylor, when you look at Baylor's resume, Jay, as we preview our next game a little bit, they have the resume of a top 16 seed. But they got a 5 seed because of some losses in the Big 12, but they have 6 wins over AP top 25 teams. They have a ton of depth. I'm excited to see this Baylor team in person.
Now Virginia Tech, the story so far here in round 1. Hokies start the 3rd quarter on an 11-2 run. And for Marshall, we knew they were going to take a lot of threes. The problem is they haven't been able to make a lot of threes, just 3 of 21 from deep.
They've taken 14 more shots in this game than Virginia Tech, and that's their game plan, right? They took 99 shots in the win over James Madison. But even though they are a volume shooting team, they just haven't shot the ball well. And to your point, Jay, they're 3 for 21 from beyond the arc. That's just 14%. On the other side, Virginia Tech, 7 of 13 from 3.
Campbell draws the foul, tangled up with Amor.
Virginia Tech foul number 5, Georgia Amor, her 3rd personal foul, 17 foul.
Assuring her teammates that she's fine. Amor comes out.
Amor limping just maybe a little bit. And it can just get so scary for a team once you lose a player to a major injury. Every single little tweak you see becomes a concern.
Strack, a big time block. How good has Clara Strack been in this first round matchup? Step back 3, Beeman. No good. And a foul on the ensuing rebound. Give the ball to Virginia Tech.
Clara Strack, she closes out and then is able to recover and get the block without fouling. Perfectly done by Clara Strack, who has been nothing short of dominant in this game for Virginia Tech. good news for Hokie fans. I don't see a trainer or anything looking at Georgia Amor. So she seems to be okay. Generally, if there was some issue, she'd go right to the trainer, and I don't see that yet.
Strack shielding off for Wenzel, plus the foul. Carly Wenzel with an and one opportunity.
Carly Wenzel, redshirt freshman for the Hokies, getting a lot of minutes in this game, having to handle the basketball. And a good job by Clara Strack to just hold her own a little bit as Wenzel attacks. And Wenzel gets the and one.
We saw Liz Kitley in the background giving a pump of her fist. Ashley Tudor is fouled out of this game for Marshall. Wenzel completes the and one. It was funny, Georgia Amor yesterday said, Carly Wenzel, such a sponge. She's constantly asking questions, wants to watch film. It's exactly what you want as a young player.
Jay, what else did Georgia say about Wenzel?
Yeah, after a while it could get a little annoying.
Annoying in the best way.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, Georgia Amor is exactly what you would want in a teammate because she keeps it light, but is so confident when she steps onto the court.
Her confidence is contagious, especially for some of these young players. As you see Amor maybe working through something with her leg over there. This game's gotten a little chippy, Jay, especially in this third quarter.
Well, the frustration fouls, I think, for Marshall. The officials are going to go over to the monitor to take a look at this.
That angle looked like she tripped her.
So while the officials are at the monitor, we'll step aside. Virginia Tech in the driver's seat. The officials went over to the monitor to review whether this would be an intentional foul or not. Let's welcome our rules analyst, Lisa Mattingly, 18-time Final Four official. Lisa, what did you see on this?
Oh, totally. I believe that's an intentional act, and not a disqualifying act, but definitely intentional. I agree with the crew on this one, for sure. Not necessary.
Well, thank you, Lisa. We're going to show the fans at home a look here. It's number 15 for Marshall, Sydney Scott. Yeah, it's that right leg. When that extends, the officials have to upgrade it to an intentional, right?
Without a doubt, and that's concerning. I was telling Jay this off air, but let's just get real. If I'm seeing that a team's doing that, if I'm Kenny Brooks, I have to really think long and hard about putting Georgia Amor in for the rest of the game. You have such a commanding lead right now, and you just can't risk an injury.
Virginia Tech on a 15-2 run. This is their largest lead of the day. And also, this is the largest deficit Marshall has faced all season long. This is a team that's 26-6. They had won 10 in a row, 20 of their last 21. They are not used to playing from behind like this.
They are not. Now, you would think their style enables them to get back into games because they can force turnovers, make threes. But Virginia Tech overall has done a pretty darn good job of taking care of the basketball. A few turnovers here and there. But Wenzel, Eck, Kayla King, they've had to play a lot with Amor in foul trouble. And they've handled this Marshall pressure well.
It's interesting to hear you say you would leave Amor out for the rest of the game. I don't disagree with you. It's just she didn't play the entire second quarter. Now if she doesn't play the final 17 minutes, it's just interesting that you'd go so long without her and no Liz Kitley.
Think about this, Jay. This is a program that just saw their greatest player of all time tear her ACL in a game that they didn't necessarily need to win anything, to win the ACC. You're up 30 plus. There's no way I'm putting Georgia Amor back in this game. I've changed it now, Jay, to absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'd put Jay Alter back in this game before I put Georgia Amor back in this game.
Nobody wants to see that.
Jay, go suit up.
Virginia Tech with a commanding 30-point lead.
And this is more time for your young players, Wenzel, Baker, others, to gain confidence and to get time and to get live game reps.
Foul called. Matilda Eck has been a big bright spot for this Hokies team today.
She's been huge. It's been so massive for Virginia Tech to see her break out of that slump. 4 for 6 from 3. That's what she was doing all year. What's amazing about Matilda Eck is that, as we mentioned, and she probably wants us to stop talking about this, she did not score in the 3 games previous to this game. It was 0 for 13 from the floor, but she was still shooting 40% from 3, even with those 3 really poor shooting performances. So that just speaks to how good of a shooter she is.
The Castle guard has to be relieved watching how their team has performed without Kitley. You just never know going into the NCAA tournament where upsets happen seemingly every hour. There were people talking all week, could Virginia Tech be a top 4 seed that gets upset, especially without their 3-time All-American? And they have answered all the doubters in emphatic fashion through 2.5 quarters.
They were a little bit of a trendy upset pick if you look at brackets and things of that nature. But another factor that we have to remember is that Virginia Tech has not lost in this building since December of 2022 to a top 5 Notre Dame team. They were undefeated this season. I know it's not technically a home game. They've won 25 home games in a row, but you are playing in Castle. And they do not lose in this building very often.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good question. Does this extend the streak?
Technically, I'm not sure. You could change it to streak in Castle Coliseum.
Right.
I think that's the way you'd have to word it.
Yeah, because they have won 25 straight, as you said, in this building. 26 would be a program record, so a very important distinction.
It's a good record to be worried about, right? Whether it's correct either way. It's a good problem to have.
Strack continuing to dominate inside. She'll go to the line for 2.
Marshall foul number 5, Alicia Hayes. Her first
It was an emotional moment before the game watching Kitley walk into Castle Coliseum. The Castle guard, the student section to our right, was already packed an hour before tip-off. And the tribute that they paid her, you mentioned that her number 33 will proudly hang in this building for a long time.
It could already be up there. There are very few players that impact programs in such a way where it's not even a debate, it's not even a discussion as to if her jersey will be retired. She is the greatest player to ever play at Virginia Tech, and she's done it the right way. One of the most pleasant student athletes you will ever talk to, that you'll ever get to cover on and off the floor. That's the Kitley family there, Ralph, Loretta, and of course Raven, Liz's sister, who's pretty famous here in Blacksburg. But just a tremendous career. And I actually told Liz this after her injury, that this injury, in my opinion, does not affect her legacy in any way, shape, or form. She's already made a Final Four, won multiple ACC titles, 3-time ACC Player of the Year. Yeah, if she had made another Final Four, of course, you want to add to the resume. But her legacy is absolutely intact as one of the greatest players to ever play ACC basketball.
Yeah, that is cemented, no doubt about it. And now just rooting on her teammates, trying to keep this season alive. They're well on their way to the round of 32. And if you want to make a point about what a great coach Kenny Brooks is, they only had 1 practice before the ACC tournament. Then he gets his team in the gym for a week. Look how they look today.
They look so much more confident in what they're doing. And you can understand, it would be a shell-shocking experience to play without Kitley and to not have much practice. Great board by Rose Mishaw. And Georgia Amor told us, Jay, when we talked to her after shoot-around today, that they just had no time to prepare without Kitley for the ACC tournament. They've had a week and a half, nearly 2 weeks, to prepare for this, and that preparation is showing.
And as good as they've been offensively, they're going against one of the top offenses in the country, and their defense has really stolen the show. Marshall only has 8 points in this third quarter. This is a thundering Herd team that averages 11 threes a game. They only have 3 today. The NCAA Women's Championship first round continues tomorrow with another great slate of games on ABC and ESPN. UConn and Iowa at 1 Eastern and 3 Eastern on ABC. You wanted to talk a little Notre Dame. That's 2:15 Eastern time on ESPN. They're taking on Kent State.
Well, the last time that Virginia Tech was truly healthy, they played a Notre Dame team at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame beat them and looked really good. And I think Notre Dame right now is one of the hottest teams in the entire country. Unfortunately, the injury bug has hit them as well with Kylie Watson, but Hannah Hidalgo, her presence on any team makes them a threat to do some amazing things. You look at her numbers, her scoring average, but then look at the assists and look at the steals. Almost 5 steals per game, leads the nation by a wide margin. We have never seen a freshman do what she's doing on both ends of the floor. It's truly remarkable.
If not for Kitley, would that be your ACC Player of the Year?
100%. And I thought, even with Kitley's greatness, it was a legitimate discussion between Kitley and Hannah Hidalgo.
I don't know if you want to say that in Blacksburg.
I'm always honest, and Virginia Tech fans, they know that about me, and I thought Liz Kitley was deserving. She did get my vote, but there was a time in January that I thought I might vote for Hannah Hidalgo for ACC Player of the Year, but Liz Kitley had truly one of the best Februaries we've ever seen and cemented the award. But Hannah Hidalgo, very deserving. Hannah Hidalgo was a first-team AP All-American and Kitley second team. That tells you how close the debate was. I did vote. I had both those players on my first team, for the record.
Foul off the ball, wave off the basket. You know, when you look at Virginia Tech's season, they were on a 10-game winning streak, 23-4. Then they lose at Notre Dame, like you mentioned, Kelly. Then Kitley goes down at Virginia. You lose in the ACC tournament. So you have 3 losses in the last 3 weeks, where before that, you only had 4 losses all season.
It has been an unprecedented couple of weeks for this program to have to deal with. Of course, adding into those losses, you have the Kitley injury, but they've had to regroup. They've had to look inward a bit, and these young players have had to step up, and they have. What a block.
Carly Wenzel's been excellent. Up to Baker, leaves it for Mishaw. She gives it away. Now, these are shots that Marshall have made all season long, and just they came in to Castle Coliseum, fell down by 15. Just felt like they never found that rhythm offensively. And that's a testament to Virginia Tech.
It is, and the Hokies' size has really affected Marshall. This is a big Virginia Tech team. Outside of Georgia Amore, virtually everybody that plays is over 6 feet tall. And Marshall only has 2 6-footers on their whole roster. So that size, you can tell when Marshall attacks the rim, even if they get some space, they've struggled to convert.
Thundering Herd have gone more than 4 minutes without a basket. They missed their last 8 shots. The Hokie size has just proven to be too much.
And as Wenzel gets to the line, I mean, this is just a really good sign for Virginia Tech. To not have Amore out there because of foul trouble, and like I said, no way she's going back in. She's played 12 minutes today. Liz Kitley, of course, has not played. So you've had to rely on so many other players. And let's remember that Virginia Tech was so reliant on Kitley and Amore throughout the season. Besides Iowa and Caitlin Clark, Virginia Tech was the most reliant team on 2 players in the entire country. And now you've seen all these other players step up in this game. This is a massive confidence booster for these other Hokies.
And you think back to Selection Sunday. That's why Virginia Tech was so excited to get the number 4 seed, because being able to play these games inside Castle Coliseum gives you the emotional lift that you need because of the initial emotional drain of losing Kitley.
100%. This place is packed out. Virginia Tech plays so well at home. They shoot it better at home as Olivia Summiel knocks down a 3. The Hokies love to shoot the three ball in this gym.
Step back three, Beeman. She's really struggled to shoot the ball today. 0 for 4 from 3 now for the Sun Belt Player of the Year. And this result certainly doesn't detract from what's been a spectacular season for Marshall. The Hokies just can't be stopped today. Matilda Eck finishes the third quarter with a big-time exclamation. 19 points for Eck. It is all Hokies.
Virginia Tech has caught fire here in Castle Coliseum, and specifically, it's been Matilda Eck. 19 points for her, 5 for 7 from beyond the arc. Had not scored in the Hokies' previous 3 games, but shooters shoot, and slumps don't last forever, and Matilda Eck has come to play today.
13 points in that third quarter for Eck. And on the day, Virginia Tech 9 of 17 from 3. Marshall, it's been just the opposite. 3 of 26 from deep.
Oh, Jay, this is why I don't coach. Georgia Amore's back in the game.
I wasn't going to put you on blast.
I'm shocked. Not doubting Kenny at all. He knows what he's doing. I just wouldn't do it.
Don't think we'll see a ton of her, but Georgia Amore back out there. And she's doing Georgia Amore things.
Right back out there, scores the ball in transition.
But Kenny Brooks, Virginia Tech head coach, he's the first Hokie coach to take a team to the NCAA tournament 4 straight years. In our conversation with him yesterday, he told us this has been the hardest 3-week stretch in his coaching life. Well, how much does this result and the way his team has played today do for his soul and this team's soul?
It's massive, especially in a game where you're just seeing so many young players step up. They haven't really had opportunities this year. Virginia Tech plays a tighter rotation. They've been in close games in the ACC, of course, but it's got to make a coach feel good to see players like Matilda Eck and other players like that step up in this moment.
Hey, look, it's Frank Beamer, absolute legend in college football.
He has a couple streets named after him on this campus.
Yeah, you got to take
big deal.
Got to take Beamer Way on your way to Castle Coliseum. Wonder if Kenny Brooks is the most popular Hokie coach since Frank Beamer.
I don't think it's even close. Mike Young is pretty popular. He's from this area, and Mike Young is a great guy, the head men's basketball coach here at Virginia Tech. But Kenny Brooks, with this team and this program he's built, the Final Four run last year, ACC championships, I think he is.
Well, Frank Beamer and all of Hokie Nation has to be enjoying this one. Virginia Tech has left no doubt in this first-round matchup against Marshall.
Pandemonium. If anybody actually went to work today, I'm sorry. But if you weren't watching games at work, then I have to question just, your life choices in general, because that's what we do today. We watch college basketball.
You need the second screen, the third screen,
yes.
at times the fourth screen at the ready. Kayla King and Virginia Tech's pouring it on.
If Virginia Tech can shoot the 3 like this, which I know they're not going to play in Castle the whole tournament, they will get the winner of Baylor Vanderbilt in the next game here in this building. But if they can shoot the 3 ball like this, even without Liz Kitley, I think they can do a little damage. I know so many people want to count them out because Liz Kitley is out, but they still have Georgia Amore, All-American, and they have very capable shooters around her. So do not count the Hokies out of the national conversation yet, please, because the 3 ball is a game changer, and Virginia Tech is shooting it really well.
And it's been an incredible atmosphere since tip-off. I can't even imagine what Sunday will sound like with a spot in the Sweet 16 on the line. Marshall just continues to hoist it. That was their 32nd three-point attempt, but just their 5th make.
And it just goes to show, Jay, how important getting that top 4 seed is. Imagine if the roles were switched and Baylor got the top 4 seed and we're in Waco. I'm not sure Virginia Tech is playing like this right now. And I like that part of the women's game because, to me, it makes the regular season so important. Every game down the stretch matters when you're looking at hosting and getting that top 4 seed. And any importance on the regular season, I think, is great
now
in this sport.
Virginia Tech held the Liz Kitley news until yesterday. If that news is announced before Selection Sunday, do you think they're a top 4 seed still?
Yes, because their resume shows that they're a top 4 seed. I feel like, this goes back to, we're going to open a can of worms and talk Florida State in the college football
let's not
playoff.
go there.
But the regular season has to matter.
Yeah.
And what you've done has to matter, and we can't just speculate. I don't think anybody thought Virginia Tech would look this good today.
No.
But we don't know until a team plays, and we see what they can do even without their star.
There was a lot of doubt over this team, and they have answered all the questions and then some in this first round beatdown of Marshall. King. That was a heat check for her. I'm with you. If Kayla King and Matilda Eck can shoot like this, obviously you'd love to have the 3-time All-American Liz Kitley out there, but when you shoot well in this tournament, good things happen.
And not just the shooting, which we know has been exceptional today, but Clara Strack has been perfect. She's 7 for 7 from the floor. She has missed 2 free throws, 17 points. She's not Liz Kitley, and she doesn't have to be. But if she can play like this, you at least have a good amount of solid production from your 5 spot.
Foul called on CeCe Mays for a reach-in.
CeCe Mays, her 4th personal foul. 2nd team foul.
I also love what Carly Wenzel has done for Virginia Tech today. 10 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. 7 assists is a career high. She's distributed the ball really well and going to get a chance at the free throw line right now. Maybe all that bothering Georgia Amore and annoying her, Jay, has paid off.
13th foul.
And Amore, she did joke after.
Yeah.
She loves it. I mean,
it's joking, right. But that's what you want. If you're a teammate, if you're a young player and your teammate's Georgia Amore, of course you want to soak up as much as possible from her and pick her brain and do the drills that she does and get her advice. That's just being smart and taking advantage of where you are.
$89 points now for Virginia Tech at a career high for Wenzel. Now, we were talking a lot about the Marshall bench. They play 12 players in every single game. It's hockey line changes. And instead, it's the Virginia Tech bench that has been outstanding in this matchup, outscoring Marshall 25-9 off the bench. Amore, everything but the finish.
Had the crowd oohing and awing.
As she often does.
Second firing her, number 4, Abby Beeman, number 5, Alicia Hayes, number 15, Sydney Scott, number 23, Meredith Mayer, and number 25.
What do you have your eye on the remainder of the first round?
Number 10, Paris Baker.
Look up on our screen. Look at the top.
Oh my.
LSU Rice. This game is very close right now, and that's why if you're a Virginia Tech fan watching this, don't take this for granted. Look at LSU struggling with Rice. We saw Middle Tennessee upset Louisville, but that is very surprising. I know LSU doesn't have a lot of depth, and of course we haven't been watching that game because we're here, but I'm keeping an eye on that one right there. And then I'm very excited personally for Baylor Vanderbilt coming up at 6 o'clock right here in this building. That's going to be a good one.
I think that's going to be an outstanding game. Vanderbilt played their way in, won the first 4. They'll have Baylor at 6 o'clock. Virginia Tech, they're well on their way to the round of 32. Now the first round continues. There's a lot of upsets today, but not one in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech, the 4 seed, taking care of business. They left no doubt, Kelly. They jumped out to a 15-point lead early and kept their foot firmly planted on the gas.
They have not looked back. They've been dominant in this basketball game. The style of play from Marshall has not bothered them at all.
Now let's take a look at our star stories brought to you by Honda, and no Liz Kitley, and the supporting cast has stepped up in a big way.
They really have, Jay. Look at these numbers from Eck and Strack, Wenzel and King. Wenzel with a career high in assists. She's been tremendous. Having to play some point guard with Georgia Amore in foul trouble. And then Clara Strack, I love how she came out, set the tone in this game for Virginia Tech. Still has not missed a field goal. And she's on the bench. Georgia Amore still not on the bench. I'm just going to stop talking about it. Because obviously I don't know.
Well, I think Kenny Brooks probably went to Amore and said, if you want to play, you can play.
Sure, and I could see that. And he trusts Amore so much. Like, I'm not sure I've ever seen a level of trust between a player and a coach like Georgia Amore and Kenny Brooks. So he's going to trust her, and if she wants to play, and she knows she's got to be, a little careful, don't do anything crazy, but he's letting her play.
The Hokies just continuing to dominate, too. I think what's impressive is this game has kind of been long over for a quarter and a half here. The way they're going after offensive rebounds, the way they're defending, you would think this is a tie game with a minute to go.
Well, and there's nothing like March in the NCAA tournament to remind you that your season could end at any moment, right? That it's win or go home. And obviously Virginia Tech very much in control of this basketball game, but there's only so many games they have left. And so the players that are on the floor right now are still going hard. And same for Marshall. They understand that their season's about to end, but you still have 4 minutes of basketball left.
And with that made free throw, 90 points scored. That is the most ever for Virginia Tech in an NCAA tournament game. History made here at Castle Coliseum.
And hard to believe, Liz Kitley, of course, did not play, and Amore only had 9 points, and that record has been set too.
Yeah, you said Virginia Tech was going to score 90, but Amore was only going to score 9.
I don't think I would have believed you.
How could you? Marshall has attempted 37 threes. Their goal was for 40. Now this will be 38. The problem is they've only made 6 of them. And this is a Thundering Herd program that will be back on this stage, and it won't take as long as it did this time. Their second ever appearance in March Madness in school history. The other was in 1997. They won the Sun Belt in overtime against James Madison. And with Kim Caldwell, this is just her first season. This is just the very beginning.
Tremendous year for Kim Caldwell and Marshall. Unbelievable turnaround. This is just Marshall's 4th 20-win season in their entire program history. And Kim Caldwell did that in year 1. So this Marshall program is going to be back in the NCAA tournament. They're back on the map in the Sun Belt, that's for sure, under Kim Caldwell's leadership.
Second team foul. Checking in Marshall, number 4, Emily Beeman, number 5, Elijah Hayes, number 15, Sydney Scott.
And Georgia Amore now does come out of the game to a huge ovation. She comes over and gives a slap to Liz Kitley. Those two roommates, the best of friends, and Amore's trying to keep this season alive and play for Kitley and keep winning.
And Jay, this is not our last game here in Castle Coliseum today, as we have Baylor and Vanderbilt coming up. I think that's going to be a great basketball game between those two.
This is a Baylor Bears program that has a great history in this tournament, Kelly. Their 20th straight NCAA tournament appearance, 4 Final Fours, 3 titles. And they're looking to keep that going against a Vanderbilt team that's already won 1 game in this tournament. beat Columbia in the first 4. So that'll be a good one over on ESPNU at around 6 Eastern time.
Baylor with a lot of depth. They have some great front court players in Asia Blackwell, Drana Edwards, these players that can really get after it. Little Paige Buggs as well. And then Sasha Washington for Vanderbilt was tremendous in the win over Columbia. So that post matchup to me is going to be really interesting.
Virginia Tech making all sorts of history. We already mentioned this is the most points the program has ever scored in an NCAA tournament game. We just got confirmation that if they win, it does count for their win streak inside Castle Coliseum.
Oh,
so
good.
That'll be 26 straight, which would also be a program record.
They have been unbeatable in this building. I've had the pleasure of calling quite a few Virginia Tech games here this season, and I've never seen a loss because they haven't lost in this building. And these fans have just been so good, Jay. The way this fan base has embraced women's hoops and has shown up for this team. The student section is always rowdy. For me personally, it's just a really fun place to call a game.
No doubt about it. And Sunday, you feel like they can go even one step up with a spot in the Sweet 16 on the line. Virginia Tech now will await the winner of Baylor and Vanderbilt. Rose Minshaw continues a strong performance. And when you think when Kenny Brooks took this job, the crowds were not like this. He has built it, and in large part because of great players like Liz Kitley and Georgia Amor, and these fans are flocking to Castle Coliseum. This has become part of the culture here at Virginia Tech.
People were lined up outside the building when I drove up about 2 hours before tip-off. They hosted College Game Day here back in February. I was here for that. It was unbelievable, the amount of people that showed up for College Game Day. And Jay, I played in this building when Virginia Tech would not get a lot of fans. And that's what makes this even more incredible to me, what Kenny Brooks has done.
Well, the Sun Belt Player of the Year, Abby Beeman, checks out for a final time. Marshall, most wins in program history, a season that will be remembered fondly in West Virginia. But too much of Virginia Tech. Clara Strack, she set the tone early, both offensively and defensively in her first career start in place of Kitley. She really set the tone, and Virginia Tech has not taken their foot off the gas. This was a really impressive performance start to finish.
And that's now 4 blocks for Clara Strack to go along with her 17 points and 5 rebounds.
Now the sold-out crowd at Castle Coliseum, they have had plenty to shout about. Liz Kitley all smiles. Virginia Tech moving on to the second round.